What's up, guys? How is it going? Today is the day that we're finally getting around to reacting to Lamar Jackson. This video is titled How a 3-Star Recruit Became an NFL Superstar. So far on this YouTube channel, we've already looked at Patrick Mahomes. We did the rise of Brock Purdy. We looked at how Jared Goff saved his NFL career. We're trying to collect the Thanos rings of playoff quarterbacks in this moment, and the fourth and final one, and probably the best one so far this year, is Lamar Jackson. Now, it's a video by Nonstop YouTube channel. It's about a year old, so it's not taking into account things that have happened this year, but we've all seen it with our own eyes what's happened this year. I'm on a quest to learn more about the quarterbacks across the NFL, and Lamar Jackson is definitely one I need a bit of an update on his past, like how he got to this stage. So that's what we're doing today. For you guys who don't know, we do live stream watch-alongs for the playoff games. So this weekend, we're going to be doing both games back-to-back. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you got notifications on. Come and join the fun. We have a Wheel of Prediction, and it's chat versus the Wheel of Prediction. We see who gets the most points in the stream. It's a lot of fun. Come and join. But for now, let's dive into this video and find out more about the man that is Lamar Jackson. Let's go. Okay, let's dive into this. Let's go.
Throughout his life, Lamar Jackson has been forced to overcome more grief and suffering than most people can even begin to imagine. Not only that, but he's had to prove countless haters wrong over and over again. This is the story of Lamar's journey.
Silencing those haters now.
3-star recruit to an NFL superstar.
Let's get into
Born
it.
and raised in a poverty-stricken area of Pompano Beach, Florida, the only part of Lamar's childhood coming easy to him was football. Football was always a part of Lamar's life, as he and his 3 siblings would often play football with their dad in the yard. From day one, 2 things were clear. Lamar was a daddy's boy, and he was special. At the age of 7, in his first season playing organized football, Jackson was named MVP, which he went on to win for every youth football team he ever played on. Just when it seems like things were finally starting to go Lamar's way, and he had found true happiness, Jackson was struck by tragedy. When he was just 8 years old, his father died from a heart attack. Then, to make an
That's so young, man, for your dad to die. Especially for when he was a proclaimed daddy's boy. That's tough.
Already unbelievably sad event, somehow worse, Lamar's grandmother passed away on the same day. From that moment forward, Lamar relied on his mother for everything. She put food on his plate.
Yo, I've never heard that before. On the same day he lost his dad and his grandma. That's...
and clothes on his back, while also coaching
that
him
must be
up on
so
the gridiron.
confusing
It
as
was
an
her
8-year-old.
belief in him that helped him get to where he is today.
Big up, Mom.
When people wanted to make him a wide receiver or defensive back at a young age because of his speed, she was the one insisting that he stay at quarterback. Reflecting on her impact in a Players Tribune article, Lamar said, "A lot of people helped me get better when I was young, but the best coach I've ever had was also my first one, Mom. And I'm not saying that just because she looked out for me and encouraged me to pursue football and all that stuff. I mean, she actually made me grind to get better." As a high schooler, Jackson was going viral on social media, putting up big numbers in stat sheets and receiving offers from Power 5 colleges. But it wasn't enough because he was still doubted and disrespected. Jackson played 2 years of varsity football at Boynton Beach High School, starring as a dual-threat quarterback who could beat defenses through...
I always hear the term varsity, like varsity football. I have no idea what varsity means, guys. If someone can educate me on that in the comments. I don't really know what varsity means. I always hear varsity football, varsity this. He played for varsity. What does it mean?
The air and on the ground. He threw for 2,263 yards and 31 touchdowns for a 102.7 quarterback rating, while also rushing for 1,624 rushing yards and 22 touchdowns. Lamar's abilities helped him become a social media sensation on a couple of occasions. One of the highlights still makes its rounds on the internet today, where he scrambles around in the pocket, evades multiple defenders, and takes off down the sideline before stopping on a dime and letting a defender fly past him as he casually
so unorthodox, man. So effective, though.
Straight out of a video game, with how easily Lamar toyed with defenses, showing just how special he could be.
He's big, isn't he, for a
impressive
quarterback?
Stats and millions of YouTube views,
long?
ESPN
Looks
and
like a basketball
24/7
player.
Sports rated Lamar as only a 3-star recruit, and ESPN had him as just the 80th best player in Florida. These recruiting analysts thought he relied too much on his athleticism, and that this would catch up to him when he was going against bigger and better competition. A handful.
I mean, it's easy to say that the recruiting analysts were wrong, but you can kind of see how they come into that conclusion, right? Because you would assume a guy who's relying on pure pace and like rushing yards and he's doing it through speed and strength, that when you get to the NFL, that ain't gonna happen. But we all know it did. It did happen.
Schools saw past these ratings and offered him scholarships, such as Louisville, Florida, Auburn, and Clemson. For a while, it looked like Lamar was going to stay in his home state and head to the University of Florida, but ultimately he committed to Louisville. Reportedly, a big selling point for the Cardinals was head coach Bobby Petrino, promising Lamar's mom that her son wouldn't be forced to change positions. From the moment he arrived at Louisville, Lamar was determined to show those recruiters that they were wrong and his game would translate to the next level, and Coach Petrino almost immediately gave Jackson the opportunity to do so. As a freshman, Lamar played in 12 games, starting in 8 of them, which is uncommon for a 3-star QB recruit to do at a Power 5 school. Jackson made the most of it, demonstrating that his elite athleticism was far from exaggerated. He threw for 1,840 yards and 12 touchdowns, while also running for 960 yards and 11 touchdowns. His 960 rushing yards set a school record for the most by a QB in one season. Heading into his sophomore season, Lamar had plenty of confidence, and it was obvious from game 1 that this was going to be a season to remember. In the season opener against UNC Charlotte, he set a school record for total touchdowns in a game, with 8, scoring all 8 of them in the first half. It was just the beginning.
He scored 8 touchdowns and a half.
As Jackson went on an absolute tear the rest of the year. He finished the season with 3,543 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns, 1,571 rushing yards, and 21 rushing touchdowns. That's over 5,000 total yards and 50 touchdowns. Thanks to these video game-like numbers and numerous SportsCenter top 10 appearances, Lamar won the Heisman Trophy, college football's most prestigious award. After a season like that, expectations were sky high for his junior campaign, and with the pressure on, Jackson did not disappoint. He broke the 5,000-yard milestone again with 3,660 passing and 1,601 rushing yards, while adding in 27 passing and 18 rushing touchdowns. Lamar had such an outstanding year that he was named the Men's ACC Athlete of the Year for all conference sports. Feeling like there was nothing left to prove with his collegiate career, Lamar forewent it.
What does all conference sports mean? Does that mean like throughout basketball, baseball, football, hockey? Is that what that means?
His final year of eligibility and declared for the 2018 NFL Draft. Heading into the draft, Lamar couldn't escape a narrative that had followed him ever since he was a young kid. Despite coming off 2 of the most dominant back-to-back seasons in college football history, he still had haters who seemed to be praying for his downfall. After throwing for over 7,000...
I mean, can we just have a look at that title though? Are you telling me that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen were in the same draft class? Better to build around Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Both are very good options to build around, let's be honest. It's not even a question, really. They're both very good people to build around.
Haters who seem to be praying for his downfall. After throwing for over 7,000 yards in just 2 seasons, the experts still questioned his passing abilities. Some of them even went as far to suggest he switch positions and play wide receiver. NFL teams must have been listening to this noise, as Jackson fell in the first round of the draft. While this was happening, cameras showed a distraught Lamar with his mom backstage in the green room. It was a fitting and powerful image, as one of the few people who never gave up on him, while others often did, was right by his side. Then, after a painfully long wait to hear his name called and watching 4 other quarterbacks get drafted before him, the Ravens finally traded up to take Jackson with the 32nd overall.
So who was in this draft class then? Who's that? Sorry.
Then, after a painfully long wait to hear his name called and watching 4 other quarterbacks
he looks, I couldn't tell who it was. This guy's called
get
Arnold.
drafted before
Josh Allen.
The Ravens finally traded up to take Jackson with the 32nd overall pick, the final pick.
Fair play to the Ravens, man.
Like his mom and his college coach, Baltimore saw something in Lamar that made them believe in him, even when others seemingly didn't want to. Although he was a first-round pick, Lamar still had to wait for the chance to prove he belonged to the rest of the league. As a rookie in 2018, Jackson didn't get his first career start until Week 11 against the Bengals, when Joe Flacco got hurt in Baltimore's previous game. His haters were ready to say he wasn't ready for the moment, until Lamar went and balled out. He led the Ravens to a win over their division rival while throwing for 150 yards and rushing for 117, a franchise record for a quarterback in a single game. After this, Jackson never looked back, leading his squad to 6 wins in 7 games to end the regular season.
Not bad for a rookie.
Spot. Even though he only started 7 games, Lamar still led the league in quarterback rushing yards with 695. While the Ravens fell in the wildcard game to the Chargers in a tight 23-17 contest, Jackson became the youngest quarterback in NFL history to start a playoff game and had officially put the league on notice. Having shown flashes of brilliance as a rookie, 2019 was Lamar's year to show what he was fully made of, and that his less than half a season was more than a fluke. The Ravens also had a full offseason to design a new system specifically for Jackson, who could not possibly have a more different playing style from Joe Flacco. In Week 1, Lamar was on a mission and went off against the Dolphins, throwing for 324 yards and 5 touchdowns, while becoming the youngest player ever to achieve a perfect passer rating. He followed up that historic performance.
A perfect passer rating? What does that consist of? I'm guessing it just means if you have 20 passes, you have 20 completions. Is that what it means? Perfect passer rating.
With another one against the
I've seen the
Cardinals
passer
in week 2
ratings
by
before
becoming
come up,
the
but I
first
don't know
player
how
in
it's
league
worked out.
history to pass for more than 250 yards and rush for 120 yards in a single game. This fast start to the season gave Jackson a tremendous amount of confidence for the rest of the year. He was nearly unstoppable as he led the Ravens to a 14-2 record. Even without playing Baltimore's final regular season game, Lamar finished with over 3,000 passing yards and more than 1,000 rushing yards, while scoring a combined 43 touchdowns. He led the league
Video
in
game
touchdown
numbers.
passes and quarterback rating, in addition to breaking the NFL record for the most single-season rushing yards by a QB. In the Ravens' divisional round matchup against the Titans, Jackson put the team on his back as he threw for 365 yards and rushed for 143 more, becoming the first player to throw for 300-plus yards and
I love it when in sports you get these players that come along and they're like video game like characters. It's like in basketball. I know he's not like proved himself fully yet, but with Wemby in basketball, like he's like something you can't even make on the NBA game. You know what I mean? He's a freak of nature. Like those players don't exist until that player does exist and he comes along. Same with Lamar Jackson. He's like the guy you'd want in your video game, right? A quarterback who can pass perfectly and run like a running back or like a wide receiver. You can't make that player normally when you do like a Be a Pro career mode. They don't allow you to make that player, but now they have to make you because they exist now.
rush for 100-plus yards.
They're just
in a
freaks of
playoff
nature,
game, but
and I love
still
it.
wasn't enough as Tennessee upset Baltimore. Despite the disappointing end to the season for the team, Lamar became the second player ever to unanimously win MVP and the second youngest player to win the award. After a season as special as that one, things were different. For once, everybody expected 2022 to be the same or better for Jackson, but that might have been a bit of an unrealistic ask. Opposing teams were now going out of their way to game plan around him to try and minimize his impact.
That's what happens.
As a result, Lamar's numbers dipped some as he finished with 2,757 passing yards and 1,005 rushing yards with 33 combined touchdowns. While less than the year before, Jackson still helped the Ravens to an 11-5 record and playoff berth. He also became the first quarterback to have multiple seasons surpassing 1,000 rushing yards, doing so in just 2 full seasons as a starter. In the postseason, Lamar and the Ravens got their revenge on the Titans in the wild card round as Jackson claimed his first playoff victory. Then, facing the Bills in the divisional round, Jackson was knocked out of the game in the third quarter with a concussion as Baltimore lost 17-3. While 2021 was supposed to be Lamar's revenge season, fate had other plans. Through 11 games, Jackson had the Ravens sitting 8-4 atop the AFC. He was also in the MVP conversation, having already passed for more yards than he did in all of 2020 and well on his way to breaking the 1,000-yard rushing mark for the third straight time. But in the first quarter of a Week 14 loss to the Browns, Lamar suffered an ankle injury from being tackled after throwing the ball. As he stayed sitting on the ground after the play, the Ravens knew that their season would come down to the diagnosis. Unfortunately, it was a severe enough injury that it forced him to sit out the rest of the game and the season. Without Lamar, the Ravens lost their final 5 games and missed the playoffs. It was far from the year that Lamar had wanted, but he was so impactful and respected that he managed to make Pro Bowl while missing a major part of the season. Now, after having started only 49 career games, Lamar is already 7th all-time in QB rushing yards with 3,673, showing just how absurdly good he is at
That
throwing
is
the ball.
absurd.
While he is elite at making defenders miss, there's one thing that has evaded Lamar throughout his career and continues to be go-to material for his haters to use: his lack of postseason success. But if Lamar's story tells you anything, it's that he has a knack for proving the haters wrong, and that's scary for the rest of the NFL.
It is, and it's going to be scary for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are going to face them in the AFC Championship game. So we have now covered all 4 quarterbacks that are going to be taking part in the championship games. And I like doing these videos, but I also don't, because I do root for the Kansas City Chiefs. But these kind of videos make me like people. I like Josh Allen, and it makes me have a soft spot for him. I like Lamar Jackson now. I know his upbringing was tough, poor area, went through heartbreak as an 8-year-old. That's a wild story that his dad and his grandma died on the same day. That's a lot for an 8-year-old to deal with. And then big up his mum. His mum was like his main coach. Made sure that no one let him change position, anything like that. No, my son's not going to be a wide receiver. My son's the best quarterback in the country. What are you saying? So now I have a soft spot for Lamar Jackson, and it makes it hard going watching these games as a Kansas City Chiefs fan. But it's good to learn about the history of these players. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said at the start of the video, make sure you are subscribed, got your notifications on. Come and join us for the live streams. It's a good laugh. And I'll see you that'll probably be the next video, the live streams for the AFC Championship game. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and come and join me for that. I'll see you for the next one. Take it easy. Peace.